Hello everyone, and welcome to my 11th Digimon Tamers Retrospective video. This time we're going to be covering episode 11 of Tamers Shinjinku Railroad Bridge, Duel for a minute and a half. No, I did not time it, by the way. I don't know if it's a minute and a half. I'm just assuming it is because of the title, but in hindsight I probably should have timed it as a minute and a half. Sure did feel longer though. But anyway, so the episode starts up with a Digimon showing up in the human world, but Lee won't let Terriermon fight it. Then Terriermon questions this, and Lee says he just doesn't want him to fight anymore at all. Hypnos defeats Muzumon with the Yugoth, but it doesn't work because he comes back. He comes back with, some vengeance. He doesn't like that. He's like, hey, you tried to kill me. Nuh-uh. So, meanwhile, Takado is able to beat Hirokazu in a card game. We're using the same card combo that he used in the last episode. However, we get a rematch, and then he tries the exact same combo, and he ends up losing. Takado then tries to introduce his friends to Gilmon, but Gilmon sneezes, and his friends end up just bolting and leaving because it's actually kind of terrifying, honestly. But I don't think I'd really necessarily believe my friend if he was like, hey, you beat me, but I have a dinosaur. I'd be like, yeah, sure, buddy. Anyway, so Muzumon then shows up again, and Takado tries this combo in battle, but Gilmon obviously ends up flying away because he gets the wings and he's like, wait, I was fighting, and he just flies off, and it's kind of funny. Then Lee refuses to fight this battle, but ends up entering the battle anyway because a young girl has a balloon and she chases the balloon off into the battlefield, which I'm honestly surprised we don't have just passerbys walking into the digital field more often. And again, I'm also not sure how time works in the digital field because they go in the digital field and then come back and the mum hasn't even noticed that the kid's there. But anyway, that's moving ahead a bit. So then Lee decides to fight because the girl's about to be hurt, or rather killed, by Muzumon, and Terriermon evolves. But this time Galgamon has full control of himself, which I guess, yay, character growth, but it sort of just happened. Last time, no. This time, yes. I don't know. But it's kind of cool, but nobody also makes note of the fact that Galgamon's in control. We just sort of go, okay. So it's kind of nice they didn't say, look, Galgamon has control now. They don't have to dumb it down that much. So Galgamon defeats Muzumon and loads his data, and Gilmon is able to retrieve the girl's balloon because he has wings. So I'm glad that they actually had him do something, and that's kind of cute. Then after the battle, Lee comes to the realization that battles sometimes have to be fought, and yay, character growth, I guess. So yeah, the episode ends, and so here are my thoughts. So I did like this episode, but I kind of wish that the previous episodes had a little bit more of Lee being not wanting to fight. He's been kind of okay with fighting. Last episode he kind of fought, but to rescue Ice Devimon, I don't know why he didn't have that realization then when his friend was being kidnapped. This episode, him at the start he's just I don't want you to fight anymore. I kind of wish they had more of a consistent reasoning throughout the episodes that led him to this decision, rather than just him saying, I don't want to fight anymore. It feels a little bit out of nowhere, but again, we sort of have had it in previous episodes, but I just wish that Lee made a bigger deal about it in previous episodes, especially the episode before, where I honestly had almost forgotten that Lee was not okay with fighting. We haven't had this for a few episodes now, so I just wish they were a bit more consistent with it, but also have Lee a little bit more vocal about it. I don't know. And yeah, we just have him decide he doesn't want to fight anymore. It's a small negative, but I kind of still don't mind it because we do know that Lee is a pacifist, and we have had that in a few episodes, but I just wish it was more of a thing. We also have that again side plot of Takado realizing that combo attacks exist, and then learning that they're not necessarily always going to work, that some of these combo attacks and combos and fighting techniques, sometimes they're a little bit situational, which is in this case, he thought, oh, this is a really good combo, I'm going to use it, from the last episode, but when he tried it in a different situation, it didn't work and ended up having Gilmon fly away. So it's kind of nice that we have him learning that. We also have sort of another side plot, which is Ruki kind of being depressed, and then we kind of have Kalumon show up and try to cheer her up, and we have Ruki smiling by the end of it. So that's kind of nice, and I do like that dynamic that Kalumon and Ruki have, which is kind of one of those unexpected ones. Ruki, you wouldn't expect to like this adorable little tiny little ball of love and adorableness, but you kind of have her kind of soften a little bit, and that's kind of sweet. But it's also nice that Calamon is just always there to cheer people up and make sure that everyone's evolving, yay! And that's kind of nice because we have Ruki also throwing out her cards and D-Arc in this episode, so Calamon retrieving that is kind of sweet. And it's a nice additional side plot because it's kind of following on from the last episode. We're not just completely forgetting about her because she's not the focus of this episode. She's just kind of being sad in bed, which is also, it makes you kind of sad too, like, oh, Ruki, no. And then, of course, I have something that I'm not really sure about, which is just, we're apparently just straight up having Digimon absorbing and loading the data of their opponents now. Like, I'm fairly certain we have both Takato and Lee hating the idea of loading your data, but now in this episode, and last episode we had Gilmon load the data, and now in this episode we have Galgomon loading the data, and no one comments on it. I think from memory it's brought up and again, and they're like, no, loading data is bad, we don't want to do that. But also nobody mentions it in this episode or the last episode, so nobody even reacts to it, like, oh no, they loaded the data, but we've been doing that for a few episodes now, even though we established in, like, episode 5 that loading data isn't a good thing to do. This episode just like, everyone can load some data, and we've had that for a few episodes now. In terms of how I feel about this episode, I like the fact that we get, like, a fairly good focus on all the characters, even though Ruki's not part of it. We still have her existing. We don't just forget that she exists. We have Takato still learning about how to be a tamer, and then we have Lee coming to terms with, like, we have to fight, which, again, is kind of like a necessary resolution to that sort of bit of character for him, because it's episode 11 and there are like 50 episodes. Imagine if we had like another 40 episodes of Lee just sitting there going, nope, fighting bad, not gonna do it, like him being a pacifist when he has to, like, you know, save the world. I don't know. It's a kind of a necessary thing for him to come to terms with, so it's nice that this episode finishes off that little bit of story, and I like that. So I'm gonna have to give this episode a 3.5, which is like, yes, I know every episode I'm either giving a 3 or a 3.5, but this episode deserves it. Like, I feel like it's a good point of the show, and it focuses on the characters, and I like when episodes are like, not, hey, this character exists and he's the main focus of the episode, but we're also going to have the other characters doing something of equal importance to their own character. I'm looking at you, Adventure Colon, with your, the kids can sit on a bench and look at boats for 10 episodes while we fight the big bad. Yay! I don't know. I'm still salty. But anyway, so yeah, that was a pretty good episode. I'm glad that they focused on characters. I'm glad that we have Takato still learning. I'm glad that we have Ruki not just, like, magically okay with being kidnapped last episode. She's still getting over it. That's completely reasonable. But anyway, so that's basically my thoughts on episode 11. Did you watch the episode? What were your thoughts? Let me know in the comments, and I guess I'll just see y'all in the next video. Bye!